Plug Power has fallen over 50% from all-time highs. How much lower can this stock go? I'll explain some key levels to keep your eyes out for, but before we get into that, there is the closing bell, guys, with the S&Ps finishing up about 12 points. Today we're seeing the Russell lead the way, up about 0.75%. You see the Nasdaq behind it, up about 0.4%, as well as the Dow that's up 186 points. Today we saw these indexes go from red to green as soon as the Federal Reserve took over the tape at 2 p.m. Now when we take a closer look at things, taking a look at these S&P futures, we hit an all-time high, however we pulled back ever so slightly. Taking a look at the Nasdaq, some nice volume coming in it today. However, it still has some room to run to reach an all-time high. On a year-to-date, the Nasdaq is up just 4%. So the Nasdaq getting a nice run could be the fuel this market needs to inch higher. And then we take a look at the Russell 2000. It's not putting in all-time highs. However, it's relatively fairly close. Taking a look intraday at these indices, we can just see at 2 o'clock, this market just turned it around. It was red on the day. The interest rates came out unchanged, and then Powell started speaking at 2:30. Taking a look across the board, the Nasdaq got a little bit extra of a lift off, as well as the S&Ps just straight up the second Powell started talking. Now when we take a look at the SPX on the week, we came into this week expecting 74 points. So 74 points up would take us to 4,017, and 74 down would take us to 3,868. We were flirting with that midline all day until 2 o'clock hit, and you can see we're starting to trend up to that 4,000 level. Will we hit it this week now that the Fed's off the table? Maybe this market gets momentum going beneath it. So we see our indices in the green. What's going on across the board in our sectors? And taking a look across the board, we see industrials leading the way up 1.15%. Energy right behind it up 0.86%, as well as the big five today that's up 0.8. I want to point out, you see the big five that is up about 0.8%. However, you see the XLK, the technology sector, that's in the red. That means we're seeing a boost from Amazon, Facebook, Google's about flat, and Microsoft's about flat. Apple's the only one in the red. However, we're seeing some strength out of the financials as well as the industrials. Even consumer discretionary with Tesla is giving us a nice lift. However, what's in the red? Well, healthcare is taking a beating today, down 0.36%, with consumer staples right behind it at 0.15. Overall, the key in tomorrow's tape is going to be what technology wants to do. Can technology get going, or will the big five have to do a lot of the lifting? We see Apple in the red today, which has a big market cap of $2.1 trillion. Can it turn around in tomorrow's tape? It's going to come down to what the bonds want to do. Speaking of the bonds, with the indices up today and Jerome Powell speaking at 2, how do these bonds react? And we take a look at the 30-year Treasury, and it is down 34 basis points on the day. It inched a new low on the day. However, it's bouncing back from that level. When we look at it closer, you see the 2 p.m. hit. Things got pretty crazy, but for the most part, the bonds are right around where we were when the announcement came out at 2. As for the 10-year yield, taking a look at the TNX, it's up on the day. However, it gave some of it back, up 1.25%. On the bigger picture here, we got rejected at close to 1.7% yield. I want to zoom out a bit and just take a look at things. We have a lot of history here, some mystery here, so breaking this 1.7 line would be a pretty big move. However, it's going to be very hard to see us breaking that 2%. And if we do, the Fed's going to have to come out and say something. But as for our volatility index, we take a look at these VIX futures. Fresh new VIX contract down over 4% on the day. We look how it traded. You see that roll, and it just kind of faded. The second 2 o'clock hit, it rolled over pretty hard. As for the VVIX, VVIX just collapsed right at 2 p.m. Then you can see it sold off into the bell, which is a great sign going into tomorrow's tape. It could give equities the green light to go higher. Just taking a look at this VVIX from a bigger picture, we're below this 110 line. How much lower are we going to go? I would like to see us hit 100. That would definitely push equities higher, well over the 4,000 range, but we'll see what volatility will do in the coming days. So equities up, bonds down. Let's take a look at our dollar index and see how the commodities got affected in today's trade. And taking a look at this dollar index, it's down 0.5%, and you can just see right at 2 o'clock, the dollar just jumped off a cliff, and it continues to slide in the after hours. How'd that affect our commodities? Well, taking a look at crude oil, it's down about 0.4%. For the most part, crude oil is consolidating here in the mid-60s. What's going on in the gold market? Well, gold's up today 0.75%. You better hope gold would be up today, especially when the Fed said we see 2.4% inflation this year as opposed to 1.8%. And you can just see right at 2 p.m. you see gold got a booming, and we're sitting right at 1743 right now. Hit 1750, gave it back a little. But what's going on in Bitcoin? And we take a look at Bitcoin, it's up 4% on the day and just erupted right at 2 p.m. We were sitting at 55.7 and now we're at 58.2. So Bitcoin saw a nice lift today. Just looking at it on a daily, for the most part, Bitcoin is consolidating up in this mid 55 range. That's a positive sign. I'll have to do a video on my Bitcoin charts in the coming days to give you more explanation. But for the most part, whenever you see Bitcoin down, buy these dips because I'm expecting some big things coming in Bitcoin this year. There you have it for the stock market breakdown. So today we saw these indices go from red to green. Once Powell started talking, the market got some confidence and we saw all of our equities across the board as well as commodities take a nice leg up. But as expected, the Fed isn't rushing to raise rates. Even though the yields are getting pretty high, it's going to take them to inch up a bit more for them to act accordingly. Now, being positive on the week in the SPX, we'll look to go higher in tomorrow's session as well as Friday's tape. Now that the Federal Reserve has spoken and told the people what they have to say, maybe we'll be on our way to 4K in this week's trade. But enough of the macro, let's take a look at a trending ticker today, and today that was Plug Power. Plug today was down close to 8%, with a market cap of $23.1 billion. On a year-to-date, Plug is up 22%. We just take a look intraday. What's going on here in Plug? Well, we see yesterday it saw a drop of over 10% as they reported an accounting error. We can see that news carried over into pre-market, and we got as low as 32.8. Finding a floor, we trended higher as the day progressed. Has Plug found a bottom? Well, let's see what the options market has to say. So we throw it on an expected move, and coming into this week, we expected $4.47. You can see we're well below that lower edge, which sits at 42.78. So with some nice volume coming in this stock today, have we tested the lows? Are we ready to go higher? Well, since we're outside the expected move, we'll take a closer look and I'll add some drawings across the board. Now, taking a look, what stands out? Well, this 61% Fibonacci at 33.21 is a key level in this stock. We must hold this stock to remain bullish, and you can see we tested it in pre-market. However, we didn't come close in the cash hours. As for our standard deviations, a 2 sigma on the week is 38.31. 1.5 sigma is sitting at 40.55, and you see that 1 sigma at 42.78. We're kind of just in the middle of the 1 and 2 right now. It'll be positive we can trend up to that 1 sigma in the next 2 trading sessions this week. That level is at 42.78. However, it seems to me that the selling is done, and holding this 2 sigma at 38.31 will be some vital support. Breaking that, look for the 2.5 at 36.06, and then ultimately the 3 sigma, which is right in line with that 61%. Now, when we zoom out a bit and take a look at this on a daily, you can just see these Fibonacci's. This was a stock that was $2.53 a year ago, got as high as 75, pulled back over 50%, and here we are today at 39.31. This 38% Fibonacci at 49.35 is going to be a very bullish sign if we can get back above that line. However, in the meantime, holding 33.21, the 61% Fibonacci, is very vital if this stock wants to go higher in the coming weeks. There you have it for the trending ticker today, and that was Plug. Where do you see Plug going in the coming weeks? It looks to me that it's bottom and could potentially go higher, even though it has an accounting error. It's shaking that news off, and it's trying to break up. If you've watched this far, I really appreciate it if you hit the like button. It means a lot when you guys show some support. And if you're watching for the first time, I do these breakdowns every single day. Show some love and hit that subscribe button. It will mean a lot to me if you guys can do that. Any comments, questions, feedback for me, leave it down below and I'll get back to you. But on that note, I will see you in the next one. Have a great night. Take care. Peace.